Hello, Sarah.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So I've got a bunch of questions to ask you today, but before we do, I'm about to do something that I've never done on a live stream with Imagine before, and that is fake applause. Hopefully everybody can hear that. I don't know if that's going to come
I
through or
love
not.
it. Can you do that
So
regularly throughout the thing?
I should. I can't even hear it on my end, which is kind of funny that I can't hear it in my headphones, but because I'm
Sounds
not
awesome.
wired into my mixer. But
In fact,
I thought that was
I want
yeah.
one of
Go ahead.
those just in my life that I can just every now and again just press it.
Push the button. Yeah,
Yeah.
they do sell buttons that you can have it do just something like that. Um, but I thought that was very appropriate for today because, well, first of all, we just announced your new profile with Imagine, and that's very exciting. And we're going to be talking about that today. But
Yeah.
also, this is the first time, and hopefully not the last time, that we do a live stream to celebrate a new profile, a new talent profile in the Imagine app. So you're the first of many to come, hopefully, in this. So
Fantastic.
yeah. So one more time, let's do another fake applause. Okay, so and I could do lots of fun effects like that, but I'm gonna stick with just that one for now.
Don't get carried away
Yeah,
now.
yeah, not gonna get carried away. So we have Trish watching from
Hi,
Kansas City in the
Trish.
United States, and we have Victoria. Looking forward to this. Has some fantastic in-person training from Sarah a few weeks back. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah. Hi, Victoria.
Awesome. And it looks like Juan can hear the applause. That's, I'm assuming, what he's talking about. So thank you, Juan. I'm glad you can hear it. The only reason why I can't hear it is so I could hardwire my headphones into my mixer, which actually has that sound effect. So we have Cami from Tampa, Florida,
Hey, Cami.
and Julie from Sacramento, California, and Lisa from France. This is great. Ooh, here comes a fun one from Charlotte. Tested your profile yesterday, and I love it. It's so close to my base profile that I will be using all the time now. That is fantastic.
Yes. Result.
Yeah. And Liz from Knoxville, Tennessee. Okay, keep them all coming. Thank you, everybody. And be sure to also share, what are you photographing this weekend? It's obviously midweek right now, but what are you photographing this week, this weekend? We want to hear it because it's all very exciting. And also, are you going to be using Sarah's profile when you edit
Yeah.
your photos or your own photos?
I'm going to be using my profile tomorrow. I'm shooting a wedding tomorrow. So I'm going to be
Nice.
using the profile this weekend and I can't wait to deliver on Monday and blow them away.
Awesome. Awesome. That's so good. All right. So I think you recognize that name, don't you? See, now you're making her nervous. Now you're making her nervous.
I've gone pink now.
Oh boy. Okay, so here's more coming. This is more coming. This is fantastic. So I'm just gonna start with community questions before I even get to my own questions. Liz is asking,
Yeah.
looking forward to hearing more about this. Does it work well for portrait photography? I do massive shots like I do not do massive shots like weddings. I will say I was testing your profile like the final thing prior to the launch, and actually did it with a first birthday session that I did over the weekend.
Mhm.
A 1-year-old who is obsessed with camping things. So his first birthday party is actually Happy Camper is the theme. So he has a teepee that's in his, like a fabric teepee that's in his bedroom, and lots of like African drums and things that are around that just look camping type things. And
Yeah.
so this 1-year-old, instead of pushing around something on wheels like a 1-year-old would do to learn to walk, he's pushing around a drum all over the house, banging the drum and walking with it. It's really cute. So we did a photo session with that theme, with the teepee and drums and stuff, and I used your profile on it, and it was beautiful. So
And it worked, right? So yeah,
it
I mean
yeah.
I shoot I use it mainly for weddings, I'll be honest. But I've
Hmm.
tested it on portrait as well, and it's solid. It's a solid base, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Let's see what else we got going on here. Where am I right now? Okay, here I am. Photographing a 50th anniversary party. We testing out Sarah's profile on one of my weddings this afternoon. That's awesome.
Yay. Can't wait.
And
Let me know how
we
it
got an
goes.
awe. We got an awe. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the awe was for. Maybe it was the 1-year-old, but it could have also been from that special comment that you got a little while ago. I am uploading as I'm listening. That's fantastic. And okay, for white balance, what do you recommend us to use to receive consistent results? I tend to change my Kelvin during a long session. Will this create issues on your end? So your profile is raw based, which means if somebody is a raw shooter, yes, white balance is great. White balance also doesn't make it different if you're shooting raw, in theory, because it's not permanent. It's not permanent. It could be changed non-destructively. Do you have any comments on that for Laura?
Yes, definitely. So I shoot. Ideally, what you would do is do a custom white balance reading on your camera with a gray card for every changing circumstance. But who remembers to do that? Not me.
Right.
When in the past I've done it, I've done it for the first couple of changes and then I forget, and then the whole wedding is off. So I decided to just go with auto white balance, and auto white balance on my Sony is pretty good. It's it's very close. And so the closer you can get to the closer you can get, the better Imagen will work. So if you're way off, Imagen might struggle a little bit, I think, with any profile. So the closer you are, it sounds obvious, but get it right in camera and it's going to make everything more consistent. If you change your Kelvin during a long session, if you are on point with that and you are consistently reading the correct white balance, then fantastic. You'll get great results. If you're like me, shoot auto.
Awesome. We've got Charlotte shooting 3 weddings this weekend in Cornwall, UK.
Oh my God,
awesome.
Powering through. I hope the weather's cooler than it has been.
Oh yeah. I know Zoe's has been suffering without air conditioning.
I know, because British people, we're not equipped to hot weather, so we literally melt and fall apart and just we just melt. And everything stops. The whole country stops whenever it goes above about 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah. So I'm in New Jersey in the United States, and it has been a heat wave here as well. It's been 95 Fahrenheit pretty much consistently, and our air conditioning died, and I have to have it replaced. So
I know
this week I literally rescheduled any recording except for this live stream because it's the only one that I couldn't reschedule. so I literally I had like podcasts to record, and I'm literally rescheduling for the next couple weeks because it's too hot in here. So I'm dealing with it today because it's a.
Do you have ice bags like bags of frozen peas on your feet?
So the company that we hired to replace our air conditioning brought us temporary units throughout our house, so it's helping to make it a little more comfortable, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
So we've got Charlotte saying weather cloudy and warm here, melted on the last 2-3 weddings. Of course, yeah, the heat waves are crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna get into we got another one. Tony from Cleveland, when is the new culling feature launch? No comment. I can't share any too much detail about culling, unfortunately. We'll have more as soon as we have more. I promise we're going to share that with you. Okay, Sarah. Some of my questions for you. Can you please share a background about yourself? Where are you from? Where do you currently live? That kind of fun stuff.
Okay, all about me. Well. I'm from, as you can probably tell from my accent, I'm British. I'm actually from South Wales, and but I've been living and working in Italy. Although I do travel a lot and work around a lot, but I've been based in Italy for about 26 years. And so obviously I speak Italian and English, and My background is it's a varied background. How long have you got, and how much do you want to hear?
Give us the synopsis, I guess.
The
The
highlights?
short
Okay.
version. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, I trained to be an actress. I went to I had a classical theatre acting training at the Bristol Vic Theatre School in the UK. I worked as an actress for a few years. Then I decided that I wanted to travel and experience the world. I went to Israel. I went to live on a kibbutz. I then ran away from the kibbutz, and I didn't run away. I decided to expand. It was great, by the way. And I went to live in the Red Sea for 2 years. I became a diving instructor, and I worked as a scuba diving instructor for 2 years. Then I got into property and translation, and I've been self-employed. And then my whole life, basically, I've never had a proper job. What I call it a proper job, you know what I mean? A salaried job. I've never had a boss. I've never had, I've always been a business person. I've always been an entrepreneur. And I decided that, but I'm very much, if I don't love it, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. So if I don't love what I'm doing anymore, I will simply change. And so I was late 30s when I decided I'll be a photographer. So here we are.
Nice. I didn't know that you spent that much time in Israel and whatnot. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. I
Yeah.
had
A
no
couple of
idea.
years in the Middle East, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved Israel, and I lived in the Sinai, but I had to make regular excursions to Eilat in Israel to buy shampoo and deodorant and stuff like that. And then I'd come back and yeah, I love where I was staying was very popular with the Israeli young people at the time. And so it was, yeah, that was my life for a couple of years. I loved it.
That's so cool. And I don't know if you knew this, but you've got something similar in common with Susan Stripling, and that's theater. She also
Yes.
trained
Yeah,
for
I
theater, but I think it was
know.
dance, if I recall correctly. But
I'm
yeah.
not sure. I do know that about Susan, who I love, by the way. She's a great person and a fantastic lady and amazing photographer. And I'm so
Yeah.
excited to kind of be involved in this alongside people like Susan, who I've admired for so long.
Mm.
And yeah, so we both did theatre, and yeah, I think you can tell we're both a little bit theatrical sometimes behind the scenes.
Yep, for sure. So do you have any kids?
I do. I have two children. I have a 25-year-old son and a 13-year-old daughter.
Beautiful. What are their names?
Jamie and Ellie. Well, they have Jamiro and Elettra, but their English names are
Ooh,
Ellie and Jamie. Yeah.
very, very pretty names. Um, so what was your first start into photography? Like what really brought you to photography? Was it, you know, the acting training that sort of led you there, or was it something else?
Possibly. I wouldn't, I mean, if I didn't, I remember that I had lined up to go to art school. If I didn't get into the theatre school that I wanted, it was very, very competitive. So I kind of assumed that I wouldn't get in. And so I had lined up to go to art school instead. So I was going to go either into an art career or an acting career. It's like, what was I thinking? Anyway, not exactly stable industries, are they? So I think the art, more than anything, led me to photography. I've, as part of my art studies, I I was allowed. I had a very, very generous art teacher, and he let me do what I wanted for my exams and my diplomas and my projects. And all I did was draw female faces. So that definitely came out when I got into photography. I love, and I still love, photographing female faces. It's my favorite thing. There's just something about the female face that I love, and it's almost like with photography, it's kind of like cheating. It's like I don't have the patience to paint the face, so I'm taking the picture and then I'm artistically rendering it how I want it to look. So it's, you know, with the retouching side of it, it's very, very artistic.
Yeah. So, when you first started, did you have any specific goals in mind for your business?
I just wanted to be able to take pictures and make some money at it. And so I immediately, it makes sense to go into wedding photography because that's a very much a need-based photography genre, unlike a lot of the others, where you're kind of selling a luxury that people don't necessarily need. So it's a different business model. So I decided I would try to get into weddings, and I think I did well in it. I got there. I got to where I wanted very, very, very quickly. So I was very much studying. I think I had a different style to what was going on locally because I'm not Italian, so therefore my gaze was very much on the international photographers like Susan, for example, and so I was very much inspired by that. That.
That's pretty cool. So, how long did it take in your business before you felt that feeling of success? Like before you felt, okay, I'm where I am, I'm comfortable, this is success. Like how long did it take for you to get that feeling?
Next year, maybe.
You really don't.
Come
you
on.
Don't feel like you've. You don't feel like you've reached that. Really?
No.
Well, what is success, successful photography business to you? Like what do you define success as?
Retiring.
Okay.
No, honestly, I feel I'm being facetious and silly. I love what I do, and for as long as I'm loving what I'm doing, I'm successful. So yeah, it's what I'm referring to is the fact that I'm always reaching for something better and to achieve something more. So the minute that I feel like I've achieved what I want to achieve, then I'm done.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, new accomplishment with the Imagen talent profile. So there we go.
Oh, exactly. I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of it, and I'm going to be developing it as I go. I mean, when I stumbled across Imagen, which was from Yvonne, who's a friend of mine, and I stumbled across this, and I was like, let me go and check this out. And I'm also an editor for other photographers. And at the time, I remember I went to look at it. I tried it out, and I was like, oh no. I was like, oh God, that's me done now. You know, my editing career is over. I was so impressed. I thought it was incredible. And then I thought, okay, I need to be involved in this. And then by sheer coincidence, Ron contacted me, reached out to me and said, would you like to be involved? And I was like, yes, because I can spot a success when I see it. And that success, you know, when I saw what the Imagen was able to do, I thought, okay, this is something I want to be involved in, definitely. And it's, you know, it helps me in my editing business because you still need humans. You still need a human touch and a human eye to finish and to become more creative. But the technology does the bit that humans aren't needed for. And that's why it's soul destroying. That's why repetitive, you know, tens of thousands of images, color correcting is soul destroying. That's not what we got into photography to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Our motto here at Imagen, you know, is focus on what you love, because that's what we want you to do. We don't want you to be spending the time on the things that you really don't need to be doing manually, right? Or to help you with the things that you're spending too much time manually. You know, we don't want to take away from it. We want to add value, you know, add to it. So we're bringing that. So my next question for you is actually a little bit related to what you just said. You are widely known worldwide as an incredible retoucher.
Thank you.
So I am sure that many people are wondering, what drew you, again, you just briefly touched on this, but what drew you to Imagen, especially knowing that we do not yet offer local adjustment support? Because that's a big thing in retouching. So, yeah, that's a complicated one.
Well, anything that Okay, first of all, Imagen. What drew me to Imagen initially was curiosity. I was like, what's this?
Mhm.
The word artificial intelligence is thrown about so much and it can so many things. So anything that is promising to speed up editing is of interest to me. Now, many of them disappoint. So you go in and you try it and you think, okay, that's not going to work. I'm going to have to do it myself. With Imagen, it wasn't like that. I immediately saw that this was going to help me. And the retouching that I do is very much high end. So we're talking Photoshop, pixel retouching. I also do editing and culling, and culling is great. So technology, and I can't wait for the culling to come out. But technology can't pick the expression, the magic expression, compared to an almost similar expression that isn't as magical as the other one. Humans can spot that. Humans feel emotion. So you need, if you're doing album design, which what I do with my partner, no machine can pick out the look in the father of the bride's eye as he sees his daughter in her wedding dress for the first time. So, but if there's a machinery that can get rid of just the out of focus ones, then great, that's time saved. And you don't need talent or an artistic bent to do that. When it comes to local adjustments, I use them a little bit in weddings, but really what I do as a retoucher is it's all artistry. It's based on painting, it's based on shading, it's based on and it's in Photoshop. So I think that I'd never say never, but will machinery replace that? I don't know. Maybe in 50 years.
Yeah, and I don't see, like, even when we release local adjustment support, I don't see it as a replacement either. I see it as, like, just learning. It's going to learn what our the Imaginers are doing on a regular basis with local adjustments and apply that, right? It's going to learn if they're constantly removing, doing a vignette with a radial, for example. It's going to do that, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, it's exciting that we're getting to that. It is in the works. And even though you have mostly do your retouching in Photoshop, it's also nice that we have you as a partner now to work with us on local adjustment stuff as we get through that.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's raw is a fundamental part of the retouching process. You have to get the raw. You have to prepare the file for retouching. So all of that happens in raw. It's never do I just open in straight away in Photoshop and start retouching.
Awesome. So we do have a couple questions, and I will get back to mine. I've got a couple more left of my own, but let's get to some of what's submitted. Okay. So this gets, when there's long comments, it gets a little cut off, so I'm going to have to hide it once I get to the end of what's cut off so I can keep reading. But last night I used your profile for corporate shots. The final edits look stellar. You allowed me to focus more on retouching details in Photoshop, as you just talked about, rather than hours prepping the images with basic color corrections. What drew you to, it got cut off. What drew you to true to life over other editing styles?
Oh, David, what a great question. And I'm so happy that it's working. This is fantastic. And, just be aware, guys, that I'm going to be fine-tuning this profile on a regular basis and tightening it up. And then I will be working with Imagen to make it tighter and tighter. When it comes to the true to life over the other editing styles. Okay, what happened was when I started out, I tried desperately to mimic other wedding photographers. And I got terribly confused because I would see one style and I'd be like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. And then I would do it on my wedding and it just didn't look right. It didn't sit right. It didn't feel right. And so I would try another one and then that didn't feel right either. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to follow trends. I'm just going to edit how I think the image looks good. And that ended up being just a very neutral, kind of true to what I'm seeing, especially as, you know, I'm lucky enough to shoot in a beautiful location. It's Lake Garda in Italy. And, you know, tomorrow I'm shooting on a private island with a castle, and there's a family that lives in the castle, and they very kindly let people use their island, their garden, which just happens to be a private island, for their wedding venue. So, but it doesn't really matter where you're shooting. I think everybody wants to see what they experienced on the day. So you can make things look vibrant and poppy and wonderful, but I think clients want two things. They want to look good, and they want to have a true recollection of their day, I think. So I ended up just abandoning trends and just sticking with what I liked, which is what you see. It's very simple. And I think that I hope that it will be time tested, meaning in 20 years they will still like the pictures as much as they did on their wedding day.
Yeah, definitely. Charlotte said it's also great that Sarah has gotten involved.
So you can hear my dogs in the background. Sorry.
It's okay.
I knew this would happen.
It's okay. It's so great that Sarah's gotten involved with Imagen, as UK weddings are so different to US ones. That's very true. By the way, a lot of our talent profiles are not US based.
Yes.
We've got a lot of photographers all over the place, but that is definitely a good point for sure.
I'm flying the flag for British.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah. Richard said, just joined, excited to try Imagen with Sarah's profile. Okay.
Hi, Richard.
So there's a couple others. So Charlotte, it would be great if we could have shared some of our images edited with Sarah's profile. Charlotte, go into the Imagen community, share some of your photos that you have edited with Sarah's, and I will bring them up on screen. Just comment again, because I don't have the community open, but if you comment again, just say, hey, I just posted in the community. I'll go in there and get that going. Happy to share your photos edited with Sarah's profile.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah.
I can also,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, that maybe let's answer this question, and I can incorporate it into that.
Okay. Yeah, so Laura says, are there any images that we probably shouldn't include, such as dark, dramatic images that we want to remain dark?
I found, I was just about to say something along these lines. So I found that the profile works. It doesn't shift too far from what I've shot, because what I tend to shoot is pretty close in camera, sometimes a little bit underexposed, because I need to, I went through a stage of, I had a setting on my camera that made the picture on the back look brighter than it really was. So for a while I was shooting underexposed by mistake. But just a little bit, just a tiny little bit. Everything else is very, very close. And I find that the profile works very well, getting you near, you know, getting it, as long as there isn't too much shifted. So if you're shooting wildly underexposed, the profile won't correct it like as if you'd pressed auto on Lightroom. Okay, so it's not going to adjust it with the histogram to place everything perfectly in the middle of the histogram. So if you're shooting dark dramatic images, they'll probably stay there. If they don't, you know, that's the sort of the 10% or so that I find falls outside what Imagen is able to cope with, and that's involved in my tweaking. So it's never going to be 100%, although I've been close a few times, I'll be honest. Sometimes there's more tweaking involved than others.
So what I found from my testing has been, which I do a lot of testing, is that we do our best to actually equal out exposures to make it so if, for example, I use a Godox 8600 strobe with my portrait work, and it's a fantastic strobe, but also not a fantastic strobe because it often misfires, or like it can't handle, you know, speed sometimes of capture. So I'll often have a random dark photo in a mix of 20 photos, and Imagen does a fantastic job of getting those to match the ones where the strobe did fire, but every so often I still get dark photos. So technically, if the photo is dark, Imagen is going to try to adjust it, but it also may not, depending on what it feels it can handle. So,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think so if your whole set is dark and dramatic, then it should be,
should do a good
you
job.
know,
Yeah,
it should do it should do a good job, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
there are always exceptions. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I'll get a better result than others, and I don't know why. And I think it's just but that was more at the beginning. I have so many images uploaded now that it seems really pretty tight.
yeah. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna get back to some of my questions.
Okay.
I have 3 more for you, and then we're gonna get back to the community questions.
Okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about your profile? You've talked about this on your profile page.
Mhm.
There's a little quote
Yeah.
from you in the email that we sent out. But can you just share now for everybody watching now a little bit about your
Mm-hmm.
profile?
Yes. Okay. So as I explained before, it's very neutral. I'm just looking for a true color balance. Nothing crazy. I just want it to be correct and consistent, which honestly, I feel like I trust the profile now more than I trust myself. So it's like because when you're editing and you've been editing for hours and hours and hours, and all of a sudden you're not seeing the color correctly, and you come back the next day and everything's magenta, and you're like, oh my God, I've got to start again. Right?
Yeah.
And you're laughing because you've been there, right? Okay.
Yep.
So I feel more confident using the profile because I'm if I'm tired or it's late or I've been going up for a long time, I'm pretty sure that the profile is close. Not always, as I said, it's never going to be 100%. So over the years, I went back in order to develop the profile. I had to have enough images. So I had to go back and sort of find all of my old catalogs, and they were on archives and broken discs and all kinds of things. So I got them out, and I tried to make sure that I didn't have anything with anything outrageous, like sort of crazy presets or anything like that. So I just wanted to upload, because the difficult part is the white balance and the exposure, getting that consistent. All of the other settings can be copied and pasted. So my goal was to teach my profile good color correction, good exposure, and then everything else I can then adapt. So, for example, I edit for other photographers, and they have a different style to me. They have a preset that they want me to use. So I will use my profile to get the base right, and then I will apply their preset onto their work for them. Or I will use I make custom Lightroom profiles, which is what I use for my wedding. I put on top something that's like a bit creamy and gives like a little creamy pop to it, usually. But you see that I can do in literally with one click. Just you apply and then just sync. That can be done. What I needed to teach it was the color correction. And because I edit for other photographers, I need it to be a neutral base. I need it to be something that can be used for many different things and many different situations.
Awesome. I am bringing up right now. It's going to come up on the screen in a second. I'm just pulling it up. Charlotte has shared her photos edited with Sarah's profile. All right. So this is exciting. Also new. We haven't done this before. This is fun. So this is these are Charlotte's photos that she just edited with your profile. Charlotte, when was this again? If you can remember, just when actually was this session? And I mean, like obviously you just edited this yesterday or today, so that's exciting. But yeah, beautiful. Look at that edit. That looks amazing. And
yeah, the skin tones
really,
look good,
really
which is what skin tones look beautiful.
Yeah.
They look golden. Yeah. So Scott, when people use my profile, can they then tweak it and then save their tweaks?
Yeah, so that was a question. Let me pull up that question real quick on screen, because that was a question that somebody just asked. Who just asked that question? Where is it? Oh, here it is. Okay. Layla asked, by the way, my daughter's name is Layla, but spelled differently. Do you upload final edits when you use talent profiles Also, does it work for late night? Let's answer the first part of the question. Do you upload final edits when using talent profiles? No. So talent profiles cannot be fine-tuned by everybody else. The only person who can fine-tune a talent profile is Sarah's talent profile is Sarah. But even then, that, because that is now going to be widely used by thousands of photographers on a daily basis, we need to really make sure that that profile, that fine tune is perfect before we make that, go live. So in the case of talent profiles, they're fine tuned by the talent, and that's a much longer process than it would be for any other Imagener with their own personal AI profile. You can, though, make your own personal AI profile based on any fine tunes that you do from Sarah's edits, for example. So if you were to get a wedding back from Sarah's profile, you could go through, make any changes you want to personalize it to yourself. And then once you have 5,000 of those edits consistent with your fine tunes based on Sarah's edits, you can then build your own profile from that. So we're going to have a video on that. I recorded a video, but we're just waiting on some updated branding for videos before I wrap that up. So we're going to have a video on that specific question very soon, hopefully in the next 2 weeks. The second part of your question, also, does this work for late night, no flash indoor pictures too? Sarah?
Yes, it works on I shoot everything. So, I shoot weddings with all of the different, the varied lighting situations. So it's not always sunny here. It's cloudy. I shoot indoor, no flash. I shoot with flash. I shoot. The only thing is, I would say is that I tend to shoot quite close. It's quite close in camera to what I'm looking for. So that's why I use auto white balance, because it's going to be close enough for Imagen to just tweak it, and it just seems to magically do what it says on the tin, and it makes it edit like me, which is just unbelievable. So yeah, that's why I shoot the way I shoot. I'll shoot with, for example, I shoot weddings with, I have a natural light setting, I have a flash setting, and then I have a night flash setting. So I have them all saved so I can quickly switch from one to the other. But I shoot in a way that kind of ensures that I'm very close in camera to a good result. So my natural light settings, for example, I use auto ISO. I'm sure people are going to be horrified because I'm not shooting manually, but it means that I can I can focus on the action, and my very expensive camera is doing the work for me, and I'm in aperture priority. Aperture priority, I'm usually shooting at f2. The auto ISO means I don't make a mistake. I don't have to fiddle with settings and then miss a moment. And it really helps me get very, very close to where I want to be. Then I shoot flash. I shoot off-camera flash. I'm shooting with 3 or 4 flashes in the evening. So I'm not in really, if there's difficult lighting, I'm kind of compensating for that with using flash. Having said that, I also have old weddings where I wasn't using a flash at all. There have been some weddings where I haven't been able to take my, 3 light stands and my extra suitcase full of Godox lights. And I'm just shooting high ISO all evening, and it does a pretty good job with that as well.
Awesome. Let's look a couple more of these photos. So look at this one compared to the first one. Those skin tones are spot on back, right? They're spot
exactly
on.
The same. Exactly the same. Yeah. I'm very, very proud of that. So once you have the skin tones there and the exposure and the white balance, you can then add a creative preset on top if you want to, if you like something. Right. And what I'm going to be fine tuning, by the way, I'm not going to change anything, or because that wouldn't make sense. Rather, I'd make a new profile. But what I would be fine tuning is just nailing that consistency, making it consistent. Because even if you make your own profile from my talent, it's going to take you a long time to get the number of images that I've put into it. Plus,
Yep.
I have images from Canon, Nikon, Sony, all lots of different cameras. I don't know if that makes a difference. I don't know if the
It actually does, and that was one of the
mm.
questions. Let's get to the next question. While Charlotte, we're gonna keep
Sorry,
going through your photos, but that that was actually the next question. So okay, so ready for this? Because we are all human, and because I have received a bunch of replies to your profile announcement email asking this question: what
Yeah.
cameras do you use, and what lenses do you use? Normally, I wouldn't ask
Okay.
about gear, but I got a lot of people asking specifically because they liked your profile and they want to know what cameras you use and what it was built with,
Hmm.
because will it work with theirs? So
Okay.
that's a perfect segue.
So yeah, the great news is that I used to shoot Nikon, so my older catalogs were based on Nikon, whatever.
However you want to, yeah. Z, Z,
I
it's all the same.
Yeah, we know who we're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Then for the last 5 years, I've been shooting Sony. I also edit for other photographers who shoot Canon, so there's like a mix in there. I'm going to be shooting. I'm testing out the Canon R5 at my wedding tomorrow, so
Nice.
I'll be shooting with a Sony on one hip and a Canon on the other. So let's see how. I'm curious to see what that looks like. And so the lenses that I shoot, I use a Sony A7 R3. I have two of them,
Mhm.
and the lenses are. I have a 50, a Zeiss 1.4. I have a 70 to 200, which is my favorite, 2.8, a Sony GM lens. I have a 35 1.4 and I have an 85 1.4.
Awesome. Okay. I have one more question of my own, but I'm gonna wait to the end to ask you this special question. Let's look more at Charlotte's photos before we get back to the comments from the live of questions. Okay.
Okay.
That's such a beautiful
Very
photo.
nice.
I love that shot.
Yeah.
And
I'm just
again,
looking. I'm looking at.
yeah, the skin tones again.
Yeah.
She's obviously further back, but the skin tones are still accurate, and the
Yeah.
greens.
Nice. I think, nice little radial filter on the couple there, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
But
beautiful.
it's the consistency.
Yeah.
That's what I love. That's what I want this is what I used to spend hours over. What has gone into this profile are the sweat and the blood and the late nights and the Christmas days that I spent editing, trying to catch up all of my weddings from the summer over all, because I wasn't happy to have inconsistencies, to have slightly magenta or slightly green or slightly blue, slightly cool. I spent years fiddling with this, and this is the result. So I'm really, really proud and happy to be able to share it. So thank you so much for sharing those pictures, Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you, Charlotte. That's very, very kind of you to post those. And if anybody else wants to post, please share in the community photos you've edited with Sarah. Use the hashtag edit so that we can categorize it. Charlotte, I'll add the hashtag to your post. Don't worry about that. That way, it's just categorized into the edit search. Okay, let's get back to some comments before I ask my final question. We are getting to the end, so I want to get back to that. And I was going to do a live demo, but we've got so many great questions. I'm not going to have time for a live demo of your profile, but I could always do that next week at the next live stream. So we can always do that. Okay. Layla asked, would this profile work for corporate events? I don't see why not.
Don't see why not. A photo's a photo, and my goal has been simply to get good white color balance, good exposure, nice skin tones, and it's very, very simple. It's nothing fancy.
Awesome. Kate plans on using your profile after her engagement shoot this weekend.
Great,
awesome.
Kate.
Shoots.
Let us see how it goes.
Shoots. Yeah. A senior session, I would have a mix of everything. I think this is related to the dark photos, light photos, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So, yes. Should be fine. But Yeah.
For sure,
Okay.
for sure, it's going to help. Let's just put it this way. For sure, it's going to get it. Even if you have to spend, I don't know, on one shoot, you might have to spend an extra 10 minutes tweaking. It's still just, oh my God, a life-changing step forward compared to what we used to have to do. So
Yeah, for sure. Now Sam is one of our global ambassadors here at Imagen, and she's amazing. And she's supposed to be sleeping right now, but she never sleeps. She's in Australia, and so it's like, who knows what time it is? She's supposed to be sleeping. She plans on using your profile for her wedding this Saturday, so that's amazing in
great.
Queensland Winery. That's gonna be beautiful. Sarah, I can't wait to see it. Samantha, I can't wait to see those photos. And I totally just snorted on a live stream. This is also hilarious. Whatever, it is what it is. Sam,
Hey,
thank you for making me snort.
live.
And also, I can't wait to see those photos. That sounds absolutely stunning. Then we got Laura asking, is there a video on how to create your own Lightroom preset to put on top? And one of our co-founders, Ron, replied, yes, there's a video. So if you're on Facebook, in the comments, you can see the video there, or just go to our YouTube channel, just search for Imagen AI or Imagen on YouTube, and you'll find our YouTube channel, or go to our website and click on the YouTube button, and you'll get to our YouTube channel. And there are many videos that I've created, and others have created, and whatnot, where you can watch a video on that. So there's one more, I think.
I've seen a really good question from.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the one I wanted to answer.
Okay,
Good
there
job.
you go.
See, so yeah, I just saw that and I was like, I want to answer that question. In camera, are you exposing over, under, or at zero? Is there an approach to exposure that you recommend on location? Yes. So because I don't know if you've noticed, but even if you don't have the wrong setting on your camera like I did, the RAWs tend to look a little bit dull. So I often shoot at plus exposure compensation plus 0.3. So on aperture priority plus 0.3. I find that gives a really, really nice result. Nothing terrible is going to happen if you shoot at 0, because it's doing what it's supposed to do. If it's dark and moody, I will underexpose slightly, and then if I'm shooting backlit, I'll usually overexpose, sometimes +1, a whole stop, sometimes a stop and a half, depending how much I want to blow out the background. But yeah, my aim is to try to get it right in camera as close as possible, just because that's the one thing that you can do to speed up editing. When it comes to using flash, I'm shooting at 0.
Nice.
So evening,
okay.
Yeah, I'm at 0.
Yeah.
Actually, well, no, hang on a sec. Let me take that back. I'm shooting. No, hang on a sec. No, because I'm in manual when I'm shooting flash, so I'm not using exposure compensation. But I'm looking at. I'm not even looking at the meter. Then I'm looking at my histogram. So.
Nice.
And I want the scene to reflect that. So if it's nighttime, obviously the histogram is gonna be shifting downwards slightly. Yeah.
Right. I love histograms.
Yeah, me too. I know. I'm always telling my students, I look at the histogram, and they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, okay, we need to talk." The histogram is everything.
Yeah, it's literally everything. Let's see what. Okay, so Lisa said, "I am editing a blue suit. I have just got my test back. 60 images, perfect, wonderful."
I'm so happy.
Lisa, please share those in the Imagen community. We wanna see those edits. We want to see those photos.
I want to add as well.
Yeah,
I want to add as well.
Ahead.
Oh, you should be. She said you should be proud. It's a wonderful profile. Thank you, Charlotte. I'm very proud, and I'm delighted to share it with you. Last week I shot a commercial shoot, and I was using gels on the background to kind of shift the color of the background. And I thought, oh, I wonder how the profile is going to manage this. The colored gels, perfect.
Nice.
Perfect.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's
so
great.
It dealt with the blue gel on the background. Dealt with the peachy gel. Well, really, really great.
Yeah. So good. So good. Laura said on the same topic, what do you set your camera to meter on? Multi, center, etc.?
matrix metering, which I think is the general one, which is why I think probably that's why things look better at plus 0.03, because when it's metering generally, it can sometimes underexpose if there's like light in the background.
Yep. David says, thank you so much. Grateful for your profile and years of trial and error.
Years of sacrifice and blood and sweat. I'm not even kidding.
Okay, so I have one final question before we wrap this up. And so I am in the process of putting together a blog article, and I would love for you to contribute. So I've asked community members this question. We have asked other talent photographers of ours this question, and I'm going to ask you the question now. The question is, what is one thing that you wish you knew about wedding photography and the business before you got started?
Oh, okay, good. I know exactly what I wish I knew. I wish I'd known. I wish that I hadn't listened to other photographers telling me I was too expensive. And I wish that I had priced myself, not taking into account my other businesses. So I wish that I had done my pricing model based on what I'm doing now, which is living with just being a photographer and an editor and a retoucher. So what a lot of photographers tend to do is that they'll say, well, I have a job, or my husband has a job, so I'll just shoot on the weekends and it's an extra $500 or it's an extra $1,000, whatever. What you're doing is subsidizing somebody else's wedding or somebody else's portrait session with your own money, with money from the other business or from the other salary. So you have to I wish that I had calculated everything and planned as if I wanted to be a full-time photographer one day with no other income from any other businesses or any other salaries. That's what I wish I'd known. And above all, that I hadn't listened to the photographer who said, well, you're more expensive than everyone else, but if you think you're better than everyone else, then go ahead. That made me shrink down into a little puddle and keep my prices low, which I shouldn't have done. I should have gone with my gut and priced myself as a proper business.
That's a really invaluable lesson to learn, or valuable lesson to learn.
Yeah.
For anybody who is just getting started in the wedding photography business, that hopefully if you watching this live or the replay, and you are new to the business, hopefully you just got a really good juicy takeaway.
I think that's a good lesson for any business, honestly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure.
Because I've kind of gone through my life balancing doing one thing with another, and it's when you start to do something like photography that you love doing, you kind of feel guilty at running it like a business. So and I fell into that trap too. It's almost like I took off my business hat and I put on my artist hat, and artists are terrible business people. So you got to keep your business hat on.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right.
So with that, we are done with the live stream. So I want to say thank you, Sarah, for taking time out of your day to join me on this live, to share your knowledge, to answer questions from everybody. I know that was a lot of questions that came through, which I'm so grateful for. And any final words that you want to share with everybody before we sign off and let them start editing with your profile?
Just enjoy, and let me know if it's working, if it's not working, because I'm sure that I can give you some tips as to how to maximize, how to use it the best way possible, because I also have to tweak my own images, a certain percentage of them, but I have certain tips and tricks. So feel free to ask, and I'm happy to participate in the community and help out.
Awesome. So we're going to close this the way we started it, with a fake applause. So,
it's not fake because they're all clapping really behind their screens, aren't
yeah.
you guys?
They definitely are. They definitely are. All right. So with that, thank you everybody who watched live for joining, asking your questions. If you're watching the replay, please comment with replay so we know that you watched the replay. And we'll see you next week in the next live stream. Thank you again, Sarah, for taking
Thank
time.
you. Thanks, everybody.